Hi everyone. I'm going to just show you a very quick little project that I'm working on. And I'm making a little garland for my mantle, which I've done in mostly pale pinks, a little bit of green, and I just wanted something to finish my mantle off. So the supplies I'm using are this twine. It's a wired jute cord. So there's a wire in it so you can form it. I think I got this at the Dollar Tree. I've got some regular jute cord. I don't know if this one says 4-ply, so it's got a little bit of thickness to it. I'm using 5 of these wooden, I call them pennant pieces. We have them in our shop, but you can probably find these at a lot of common craft stores. I'm using some pink plaid paper that I just happen to have on hand. I'm using shower curtain rings, clear shower curtain rings, some paper flowers, but you could use, little burlap rosettes. You could use fabric flowers, anything like that. And I'm using just some sprigs of green off of a piece of garland that I had. I'm just pulling little sprigs off. So if you can find some kind of garland that has these pieces you can pull off, it's perfect. You need some Mod Podge, some scissors, some wire cutters. I'm kind of right in the middle of this project and just spontaneously decided that maybe I should do a video. So the first thing I'm gonna do before I cut this, well, I guess I can cut this out. I'm gonna trace this because I'm gonna end up covering the background, but this would be totally up to you. Now, I've already done 5 of these pieces stained, and they look like this. So, but you can choose to do what you want. I didn't know that I was gonna cover them with paper until later, but that's ultimately what I ended up doing. So when I cut it out, I'm gonna cut ever so slightly on the inside of my line. Just barely. And then I'm going to end up Mod Podging this. I guess I can do that now, after all. I'm gonna Mod Podge this or glue this to one of my wooden pieces. So I'm gonna just take a brush, cover this whole thing with Mod Podge. Make sure you get all the edges and the corners real well. And then I will apply that. Rub it on. I'm going to use a little squeegee just to help get any bubbles out that are there. And then I usually have to go back to the corners, add a little bit more, add a little bit to the back of the paper. And then I want to make sure that is totally stuck down. I'll check these corners too. And that one, just a tiny little bit there. And then usually what I do, I try to cut a little bit on the inside so I don't have this problem, but if there's any excess, I will just take a sanding block and run it over the edge, and that will just kind of clear off any of the excess, have it fall off. Like here's a little sliver from a previous piece. But you want to make sure that all the corners and edges are totally glued down first. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside. Now, I'm going to take, I don't know, a couple feet of twine here. It'll be easier if you cut it off first. And I'm going to open up my shower curtain ring. That'll make it easier too. You may want to put finger protectors on for this because you are going to be getting really close to the glue. But I'm gonna start up here where they attach, and I'm gonna work my way around. I'm gonna put a little, like 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch worth of glue there. And I'm gonna start just getting that stuck on there, get it to hold. Because what I'm gonna do is just wrap this. So this was inspired, this little project was inspired by a previous video that I did, which was a twine jute wrapped wreath form that looks like a bunny. And it is hanging on the mirror, over in front of, like hanging right off of the mirror that hangs over our fireplace and mantle. So the garland is kind of inspired by that. So I'm just gonna work my way, wrapping this around. Oops, I got myself there. Didn't see the glue. Just gonna keep wrapping this around until I get to the end of the glue section. I don't wanna do too far because I don't want the glue to dry. And then pull this through. Try to push it close to the last piece. So that's all I'm doing, is just wrapping this around. Around and around. Okay, so that's the end of the glue there. I'm gonna add another little section. And that glue is just holding it in place. So you really only need it like on the top of the ring, the outer part of the ring. You can pull it tight or you can keep it a little bit looser. You don't want too thick of twine, but you also don't, if you go real thin, you're gonna be doing this forever. Really doesn't take all that long, but I'm doing 5 of these and I'm gonna see how that looks first. I'm gonna be in the end when this is all said and done, and I hope I cut enough twine. When this is all said and done, I should have 5 hanging on as my garland. If I have to add a couple more, then I can add some then. Okay, I'm almost back to the opening. I really kind of cut it close on the twine. So maybe cut yourself 3 feet just to be safe. Okay, so when I get close here to the center, I'm gonna push this back together. And then I'm gonna fill this in as best I can. I really had just enough. I really could have had one more loop around, but because you're not gonna see this part, I'm not gonna worry too much about it. So I'm gonna get some glue in here, and I'm just gonna use this little skewer that I have on hand to kind of press these down. And stay. But like I said, you're not going to see this part in the center here. But I do want it to be attached. Okay. So now, the next thing I'm gonna do, now that that's covered, is I'm gonna take this formable wired jute, and I'm gonna get an estimate of about approximately how big I want my ear to be, and I'm gonna fold it over. I'm gonna kind of make a point first and then open them back up. You don't want to fool too much with it because it's only just wrapped around there, so it can really spread that jute apart. So that's approximately how big I want mine. I'm going to use my wire cutters to clip off the other end. And then I'm going to go back to where the top of my ring was. And over to the side, I'm going to put a dollop of glue back there. And I'm going to attach that to the back. And again, you don't have to have it perfectly attached because this is going to be getting pushed onto a background, so there'll be more support, but I want to get it kind of started. You can form them a little bit better later. Just want to make sure that you have it up far enough that you don't see those pieces hanging down in between there. So I'm going to do that a second time, trying to make it about the same. Clip it off. I found this wired jute and I grabbed a thing of it thinking, I don't know what I'm going to use this for, but I'm sure somewhere down the road I will come up with something or have an idea that I would have wished I got it. So today I was very glad that I had gotten it. Again, you're probably going to want to have finger protectors on, but just kind of estimate where you want that other bunny ear to be. Use something to press it down. Just make sure they're on there enough. They don't have to be super secure, just on there enough. So that's what I've got so far, is a little bunny. Now we have our background ready to go. I'm going to take my two little sprigs. I'm going to overlap them because I don't want them to be the whole way around the wreath. I'm going to overlap them. So I'm going to kind of start this one over here towards the edge of this ear. I'm going to put a big dollop of glue across there and set that in it, get it started. And then I'm going to do the same thing, overlapping this one over top. Just trying to make them approximately even. Get that all started. And then I'm going to take, this flower happens to have a little wire on the back. I'm going to clip that wire off. I'm going to glue on the back of that, and then I'm going to just right away press that in, and that way I can use that to kind of help solidify what's behind it. And then if you want, you can sort of force your other greens by putting little dollops on the side to make them kind of stay where you want them. I'm gonna put a little dab there, a little dollop here, dollop. And you might still have time to adjust it a little bit. Press that flower back in there. So make sure that everything, you want to make sure that you keep pressing everything down, make sure that it stays. So there's now what it looks like at this point. But I'm going to put mine, and after I put that paper on, I forgot, I just take my pencil and I poke. I know there's a hole there, so I just kind of find that hole behind and I press the pencil through. Now I'm just going to put some glue. I'm only going to put glue on the ring, the back of this ring. I'm not going to put it on the back of the ears, but you can. I'm going to put it on there, get it started. And the only reason I'm not putting it on the back of the rings is because if you want, then you could form the rings to kind of stick forward a little bit if you wanted to. You could fold them, you could make one floppy if you wanted. Just keep in mind that this wired jute, if you fool with it too much, you might end up seeing some of the wire. But that's it. And then I'm going to string mine together and hang them on my mantle. I added 5 wooden beads in between each for spacers, as well as just to give it a little bit of an extra added touch. Subscribe to this channel, please, so that you find the rest of our videos. Follow me on social media. I'm on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Pinterest, and you can shop our store at shopmyhomematters.com for DIY kits and inspiration.